Disney Plus. I'm sure we all know what Disney Plus is. It's platforms on everyone's phones, iPads, and even TVs. I know I'm tired of seeing it when I'm watching Bears games. Well, that and sports betting ads, but that's a different conversation. Disney Plus launched November 12, 2019, and it forever changed the landscape of Marvel. Disney Plus became a home for all MCU and most Marvel media. It created many popular MCU shows like WandaVision, Hawkeye, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki. But what about the shows before that? What did Marvel TV look like? That's what this video is about. The forgotten era of Marvel television. Now, there are some shows from this era that are still relevant today, like Daredevil, which even recently got a reboot on Disney Plus. The other Netflix Marvel shows also still have a strong fan base. My personal favorite Marvel show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., has a passionate fan base to this day. I'm going to focus on the lesser known shows from this era. Let's start with another one of my favorite shows, Marvel Runaways. I'm a little biased here, so I'm going to spend a little extra time on this show. It was released on November 21st, 2017, exclusive on Hulu. This show is based on a Marvel comic series titled Runaways that was launched on April 16, 2003. Now, the comics were fairly popular when they came out, but not something a casual Marvel fan would know. The adaptation of Marvel Runaways to television introduced them to the mainstream media. Now, what's the plot? Runaways is about six teens who find out that their parents are in an evil secret society that sacrifices people. This is called the Pride. I know this sounds crazy, but trust me, the show is great. While it does deviate from the comics quite a bit, it still keeps the basis of the comic while improving on some of its mistakes. Let's talk about the main cast. It's a pretty big cast which includes six kids, their parents, and some other characters. There's Alex Wilder, the genius and somewhat leader of the kid at some point. He's a typical smart character archetype. He can hack, makes most of the plans, but there is more to him. He isn't just some nerdy kid who can't stand up for himself. He develops to be someone who would do anything for the people he loves and is determined to get to the bottom of what his parents are doing. Now let's talk about his parents, Jeffrey and Catherine Wilder. They are wealthy, powerful, and intelligent people, but they have a dark past. Jeffrey's a former gang member turned businessman, and Catherine is an attorney. Then there's Nico Minoru. She's the emo serious quiet girl of the group. Like Alex, she develops a lot throughout the series, becoming very loyal to her friends and standing strong on her opinions and beliefs. Nico also has powers through a magic weapon called Staff of One. I think the staff is one of the more interesting weapons in Marvel since it has a lot of rules and limitations, but it's still very powerful. Nico's parents are Tina and Robert, who are very wealthy, of course, but strict and emotionally distant parents. Tina is cold, controlling, and the original user of the staff, while Robert is more gentle and compassionate. Next is Carolina Dean, who is sweet, optimistic, and kind of naive. Her mom's the leader of a church, which puts a lot of expectations on her. Early in the show, she discovers she's an alien who can glow, fly, and use energy powers. Her newfound powers and friends make her more confident and compassionate of the show. Carolina's parents are Lisa, a powerful and influential leader of the church, which is clearly hiding something, and Frank, who is a former actor who is ignored and disconnected from the rest of his family. Then there's Chase Stein, typical Jack character. He's popular, head of the lacrosse team, and gets all the girls. But really, he's smarter than he wants people to think and cares about others deeply. You see him grow a lot throughout the show, becoming more empathetic and honing his intelligence. Chase's parents are Victor and Janet Stein. Victor's a world-renowned genius, but is often physically and emotionally abusive to both his wife and kids. Janet is more caring and kind to Chase, but is still involved with pride. Last, let's talk about Gert Yerkes and Molly Hernandez, who are adoptive sisters. Gert is outspoken, rebellious, and fierce while also still being kind of nerdy. In my opinion, she's very much the glue of the group, staying consistent throughout the series. She also gets a pet dinosaur that's connected to her later in the series, which sounds insane, but it works, trust me. Molly's the kid of the group, being the youngest, and it shows in her personality. She's energetic, naive, and cheerful. While she does make childish mistakes, she's the light of the group and matures throughout the series. She has super strength, making her a very valuable part of the team. Now, Gert's parents and Molly's adoptive parents are Stacy and Dale Yorks. They are scientists who are very quirky and a little awkward. While they are in the pride, they are my favorite parents in the show and seem to really care for their kids. Now, Molly's birth parents are also former members of the Pride, but they died when she was young, leading the Yorks to adopting Molly. Overall, the show had pretty good ratings, having 84% on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of 63. Now, why was the show canceled? Doing my research, I found a lot of different reasons people believe the show was canceled. Some say it's due to Marvel wanting to put all its shows on Disney+. Some say it's due to decrease in viewership, while Greg Salk, who played Chase, believed it was canceled due to Hulu having to sign new contracts with the actors after the third season, which would have cost too much money. Regardless of why the show was canceled, Runaways will forever have a special place in the hearts of many, including myself. Enough about Runaways. Let's move on to the next show. Let's talk about The Gifted, which was released in October 2017 on Fox and ran for only 2 seasons. The Gifted is set in a universe with the mutants and X-Men, which is what drew it to me. I'm a huge X-Men fan, so I was really excited for this show. It revolves around the Strucker family after their 2 teenage kids of the family, Lauren and Andy, discover they're mutants with powerful abilities. When the government's anti-mutant task force, Sentinel Services, comes after them, the family goes on the run and joins the Mutant Underground, a secret society helping mutants survive. If you're a real X-Men fan, you're going to hear a lot of familiar names here, like Polaris, Thunderbird, Blink, and a few others. I haven't finished all The Gifted yet, but I have enjoyed what I have watched. It's not the best show, a lot of characters make dumb decisions, but it's still interesting to see what a universe would look like if the X-Men are defeated. How would life look for mutants? This series answers that question, although I'm not sure how many people actually care about that question, but whatever. The ratings for The Gifted are a solid 79% of Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 70%. Now, why was The Gifted canceled? The main reason, and maybe the only reason The Gifted was canceled, was simply due to low ratings, or low viewership. The show lost 5 million viewers from season 1 to season 2. Some people still think Disney Plus had a role in the cancellation, but the dramatic decrease in viewership is a pretty good reason for canceling the show. Despite being canceled, The Gifted had good potential, but may end up being forgotten. Let's move on to the next show. Another one of my favorites personally, Cloak and Dagger, so bear with me. Cloak and Dagger was released on June 7, 2008 on Freeform, and it lasted for 2 seasons. Cloak and Dagger revolves around the comic book characters Cloak and Dagger, of course. Their origins in the comics are a bit confusing, with them sometimes being mutants, but for the most part, their powers are the result of an experimental drug. In the show, their powers are the result of an oil rig explosion that released energy. Now, what are their powers? Let's start with Dagger, whose full name is Tandy Bowen. Dagger, Tandy's powers are light-based. She can create daggers, hence the name, made of light. She can fire light blasts. She can use this light energy to heal, and she can see people's hopes. Now let's talk about Cloak, whose full name is Tyrone Johnson. They also call him Ty a lot, so that's what I'll be calling him from now on. Cloak has the ability to teleport. He has access to a dark dimension. I don't really know how to explain this. Watch the show, please. He can see people's fears, and his name Cloak comes from using the cloak to control his powers. The plot revolves heavily around an oil rig that exploded, which was owned by a company named Roxxon. Now, if you know Marvel, you know Roxxon. They're just the evil company in the universe. This explosion happened when Tandy and Tyrone were very young, but when they crossed paths about a decade later, their powers started to manifest. This show is kind of a slow burn in terms of Ty and Tandy being able to control their powers, but the drama aspect of the show is really good, and it kept me watching. Ty and Tandy had to work together to figure out their powers and investigate Roxxon while they do that. I love the character development of the show. Ty and Tandy's relationship is really great to see grow and evolve throughout the show. The ratings for Cloak and Dagger are a little inconsistent, with an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of only 56, which is crazy that people think Gifted is better, but... Now, why was Cloak and Dagger canceled? Cloak and Dagger viewership did decline slightly in the second season, but many people believe the cancellation was due to Disney Plus and a change in Marvel Television. No matter the reason for the show being canceled, Cloak and Dagger still has a strong fan base today. And the fan base has actually increased with the launch of Marvel Rivals, which included Cloak and Dagger on the roster. I could talk about Cloak and Dagger all day, but let's move on to the next show. The Inhumans. The Inhumans were released on September 29th, 2017, and only lasted for 1 season. I'm going to be honest here, this show sucks. I hate this show. I'm not even sure if I got through the first season. I cannot think of one redeeming quality of this show. The camera work was awful. It looked like an expensive fan-made film. The costumes didn't look great. The acting was okay. And I don't remember the plot. The show revolves around the Inhuman royal family, which includes characters like Black Bolt, we all know him, Medusa, Karnak, Gorgon, Triton, and Maximus. I don't even care if I said those names wrong. I'm not going to spend time talking about them much. They're all pretty boring. Honestly, I'm not sure why Marvel decided to make a show on the Inhumans. They weren't particularly popular in the comics, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did their own version of the Inhumans, which was way better. The ratings for the Inhumans were awful, with a staggering 11% on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of 42%. Now, why was the Inhumans canceled? Unlike many other shows I talked about, Inhumans is not a victim of Disney Plus, but rather a victim of just being a terrible show, which is why it got canceled. I don't really want to talk about this show anymore, so let's move on to the last show I'm going to talk about in this video. Legion was released on February 8th, 2017 on FX and ran for 3 seasons. Legion is based on a powerful X-Men character named David Haller, who was Charles Xavier's son in the comics. David is an extremely powerful mutant but has schizophrenia, which greatly impacts the control he has over his powers. Legion revolves around him trying to control his powers and navigate the problems that come with being such a powerful yet unstable mutant. I did start Legion, but I didn't finish, so I can't speak too much of the plot. The show does have some major ratings with 91% on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of 85%. Now, why was Legion canceled? Legion actually wasn't canceled, but ended naturally. Showrunner Noah Hawkeye said that he planned for Legion to only be 3 seasons from the start. And I'm all for this. I love shows ending on their own accord and not dragging out for money. What do you believe Disney Plus was good or bad for Marvel television? I think we can all agree there was something different about Marvel TV before Disney Plus. The shows were more creative and had a lot more freedom than MCU shows we see today. Instead of just feeling like a regular superhero show, it felt like shows about people who just happen to be superheroes or have these powers. It had a compelling character arcs, good drama, and great acting. Personally, while I do enjoy many of the new Marvel shows, I will forever miss the forgotten era of Marvel television.